I want to call to order the Guthrie Public Library Board meeting at 5:30, and today is November 20th, Wednesday. And do a roll call. We have Jamie Newton.
Yes, present.
Tammy Holsey.
Present.
And Grayson Lorenz, present. And Cameron.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. We're missing Samantha Stewart. We hope she gets to feeling well. And first item, and I'd like to establish a quorum. Looks like we have 3 members out of 5. So a quorum is established. And the first item of business is the minutes of the October 2024 meeting, which I took for the last meeting. Does anyone have any questions?
I read them over on the email and everything looked good to me.
I did not see anything that needed correction.
Okay.
Looked like everything was on there.
Great.
Yeah, looks good to me.
All right.
Alright, so I make a motion to approve the minutes from the October, oh, excuse me, I said that wrong. I move to approve the minutes of the October 10th, 2024 library board meeting.
And I'll second it.
Great. All right, we have now approved as a board the minutes of the October 2024 meeting. And now it's time for the director's
Okay,
report.
I'll try to run through this pretty quickly. Start with some updates. I actually have a very recent update. We received our determination letter from the State Commerce Department on our E-rate for the internet here. So during this cycle, I solicited bids from our current speed, which was 200 megabytes per second, up to 500. I went with our current vendor, OneNet, who also does the schools, who is also who we get our IT services from. But I upgraded the bandwidth up to 500 megabytes per second because that was the better deal. They actually offered it for almost the same price as what we were paying for 200. Unfortunately, the State Commerce Department dinged us for 2 reasons. One, they said that I asked for too much internet, which I argued against because Logan County, I believe it was almost 60% of Logan County is underserved as far as broadband access goes, according to the Oklahoma Broadband Office. They also said that the offer that I selected was not within 125% of the lowest reasonable bid. I wrote a response pointing out that the lowest bid was unacceptable for varying reasons. Unfortunately, the next lowest bid I had calculated was 124% of that the bid I selected was 124%. Unfortunately, I did not take into account the upgraded equipment costs. And that put us like barely over the line. As of Friday, I was on the phone with OneNet and their attorney for most of the day, and they decided, since the other offer was technically 25% lower, that they were not going to file the reconsideration. So what does that mean for us? So it does not mean that they denied funding. They just withheld some of the funding to kind of make up the difference between the 2 bids. So we are all on the hook for a couple $100 for the upgraded equipment, which I am proud to say that the library's patronage has been averaging like 50% more internet use since we've made the upgrade, so the upgrade was definitely needed. We are also, they're not funding, usually we don't pay anything to OneNet because it all comes to that grant funding. Now we're $55 short a month. Fortunately, we do have the money to cover those deficiencies. I had some software upgrades that I plan to use some state funds for. I'll defer those for now and use that to pay for the upgraded service. Despite their findings, I still think that the offer I went with was absolutely the best. Like I said, we were getting over twice as much speed for almost the same price, and we were keeping that same IT services and the same people we've been using for over a decade. Oh, I did not grab it, but on the circulation desk is the city's budget presentation for the public, which includes the overall city budget, which the city spends 2% of its general funds on the library. Also, there is a very wonderfully written write-up on the library and the services we provide with the money that's in there. Meant to bring it in here to show y'all, but folks at home will be able to see anyway, and it is going to be available at the service desk as far as I can let it. I also have really good news about the Friends of the Library organization. They have been hurting for new members and for volunteers. Good news is that people have heard the call. They had 8 new people show up at their last meeting. Yeah. And according to Trish, half of them went to the book house to help sort things.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And I don't know. I plan on going to their next meeting, which is December 14th. One, to update them on the grant, and 2, to see if I can rope some of them into being on this library board if they live in town. And 3, we also need volunteers to judge cookies. Also, if you guys like cookies, be here December 14th. We really need judges. There is like a mountain of cookies that come through on that day.
Wonderful.
Yes.
What is the times for that?
The Friends of the Library meeting's at 10 a.m.
No, the cookie thing.
11. Well, it starts at 11. The judges need to be here by noon.
Okay.
So it's the same day.
Same day, yes.
Okay.
I guess I already warned Trish that I was like, we may lock the building and not let the volunteers leave until they touch
All
the cookies.
cookies are
Until the
eaten.
cookies are done with. All right.
December 14th.
That's good bribery to include more members to the Friends of the
Exactly.
Library, so good job. Good planning.
Wish I could help, but I will be busy.
Yeah, I'm also leaving right after the meeting, so. The 14th turned out to be a very busy day as far as everything in the city goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on.
Got a lot
14th.
going on.
Yeah.
And it was the only day our librarian could do in December. All right, moving on to some of the programming. Instead of just doing the highlights like we've been doing in the quarterly meetings, I'm just going to briefly touch on all of the October meetings. But I'll start off with the big one, the trunk or treat. Was fantastic. We had over 1,000 people come to our van or truck and get candy. It was bonkers. Yeah, it was. And the entire event downtown was very well received. Unfortunately, we had enough candy to feed everybody. I think we ended up like letting some of the other people in our parking lot borrow some candy when they were starting to get low. Staff dressed for the occasion. As you're seeing the graphs, it was a huge boost to our attendance, and it's something fun that we get to do every year. I think the staff look forward to it like for most of the year.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. Story times have been going great. One cool thing that we did last month is we actually, instead of holding story time here in the library, we did it over at the Mini Melba Theater on Oklahoma Street. We did it right before Halloween, and they were able to screen the Great Pumpkin. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
Fortunately, the weather held up.
Held up,
We were a little
yeah.
concerned about that. But yeah, no, the folks at the Mini Melba have been really, really great to work
Yeah.
with on that.
Wonderful.
I hate to see what happened to that.
I know.
That's awful.
Yeah, and
But luckily and thankfully, the community has kind of stepped up to
Yes.
help, offer help and get it fixed and, you know, any way that they can. So they think it'll be fixed next week, I think
Should
is
be
what
in,
I
Yeah, I know
yeah,
they just
anytime,
did
and
that.
it's
Yeah.
ordered, it's just, they're
Nice.
just waiting to receive the
Yeah.
parts and
okay,
get it in.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
awesome.
heard that they just need to replace the glass on it.
That's awesome.
All right. We had a candy taste test for the tweens. The licorice man on Oklahoma provided a lot of the candy.
Oh, cool.
The kids got to eat all the candy and rate their best ones.
So when is the one for adults?
I will ask. The funny you should ask, there was 2 things of candy left over, so Eden insisted that we go home and do it at the house, and it was fun to see. Other than I'm apparently the only one that likes cinnamon candy. Me and my wife liked the licorice. Eden hated it all.
Yeah, I can understand that.
You just need to try a lot of it until you like
Until
it.
you find the one you.
There's so many different flavors
There
that I
is.
had no idea
I didn't know
about
there was
until I
either
went
two.
in there. Yeah.
But it was
so
cool because we
awesome.
got to do some of the old retro candy and
Oh,
the
yeah,
foreign
fun.
Love that
candy.
room.
It was, the kids got all sugared up and was still talking about it like a week or 2
Oh,
later.
that's cool.
That
Wonderful.
was awesome.
That's awesome.
We've been doing a regular Lego club. Gwen, who's out on the desk now, has been running that. The attendance varies pretty wildly. Sometimes we only have a couple kids show up, and sometimes it is like a packed house out there. But that's been
Cool.
really fun. Chess Club numbers are down since we don't have Officer Williams doing it like he was doing over the summer. But we have a steady group of people that come for that. For our monthly event, we had tween origami. I don't know if y'all know Sammy Ramos, but he is a gentleman that does origami in his
Yes.
spare time. Yes. So he brought up a bunch of origami and some origami paper and books for the kids to do. I talked with him after the event. He was really excited to participate in it and wanted to know if any of the kids were like naturals at origami. I don't know if he was like trying to scope out the competition. But the good news is that we're probably going to repeat that event in the summer. It
Oh
was
wow,
so well
that'd be a
received.
great one then.
Is the chess club only for children and tweens?
No, it is not. No.
So that's
It's
for-
primarily focused for that, but
That's-
we just set out the chessboards. And really, what it's been is
Okay.
we've had one older gentleman that's pretty regular and one child that's pretty regular. It's been coming.
See,
to
I
that.
thought it was just for kids
Yeah.
too.
It was
Wow.
during the summer because it was that junior high club that basically, since the school was closed, moved over
Moved
here over
okay.
the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for anybody that wants to
Okay,
show.
good to
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
The tween counselor has been busy planning summer reading. They've had some really good ideas. I'll brief y'all more as we get closer to summer reading and start finalizing plans. We actually that meeting I was speaking about in the afternoon was one of our summer planning meetings that we're still finalizing things off. Anime nights every other Tuesday night have been going well, pretty steady group, and we still haven't run out of movies to show. Dungeons and Dragons is oddly popular. The biggest problem we have right now is making sure that we don't have too many kids show up, and that we have enough people running groups that everyone feels like they're involved. So not only is our teen librarian running one of the groups, but we've actually had some of the older teens taking the younger ones and running that. It takes over the entire library. They have a group of 2 in here, and then some out in the kids area.
Cool.
Yeah. And they also had fancy ramen, and they didn't invite me, but that's okay. I believe Becca went out to the Asian grocery store in Stillwater, grabbed a bunch of stuff, and yes, they came here on the weekend, made their ramen, watched a movie. I have good news on the Lights Camera Guthrie. They showed the movie Ratpocalypse. I have heard that the movie is not good, but we had a couple people show up to attend, and
How has that been going? Have people?
it's very, very,
Very
few.
few.
I think this one has been the most well-attended movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I started that list 6 months ago or
Mhm.
whatever, and started watching some of them, and I mean, there were some, I just couldn't sit through some of them.
Yeah.
They're not good. So.
Our clerk is still doing the looming class. We were contacted by a local person that volunteered to do some classes, beginners and advanced for crocheting and other types of needlework. We haven't committed to anything yet, but the idea that we have is we're going to transition that looming class not really a class. We have
It's
some
just-
looms out and people can, and we had a steady group of people that were doing it. Lots of circumstances happened and that attendance has dropped down. People are planning to come back, but we are going to expand that to include all needleworks, and it's gonna be kind of a bring your own craft sort of thing. So if you have a scarf that you're making, you can come in with the folks that are making the hats. And we also had a financial literacy, on the 29th that was done through the local credit union. We had 20 people show up for that one. Those classes always go really well, and I've heard nothing but positive response for that. All right, as far as the collection goes, circulations have been keeping pace with the bump that you always see for summer reading. Usually that summer reading comes and you start seeing the decline. We did see a little bit of a dip, but I'm really impressed that we're able to keep as much of those circs as we have. We did a little bit of light weeding, like we do every month. Like I said, that we've transitioned from doing like a big weeding project once a year to just doing a little section at a time. Becca removed about 12% of the teen fiction, and then I removed 9% of the audiobooks. That actually left us enough room that I was able to combine the audiobooks that were in the children's and tween section over. So now all the audiobooks are in the same place, and I got rid of that bottom row, so you don't have to get on your hands and knees to get to those ones at the bottom.
When you read books, I have a
yes.
question.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you pull up like a spreadsheet of the ones that haven't been checked out in a certain period of time, or?
So
I know there's the age.
yes. So the collection weeding is done by a different person each time.
Sure.
And everyone has their own process for doing
Okay.
it. So we look at a
Okay.
bunch of different factors when deciding what to weed and what to keep. Age is a consideration, circs and usage is a consideration, and wholeness of the collection is a consideration. So, like, I have my own process that I've done, and it's a little bit different even if I'm like reading adult books and children's books. It's different because there's very different needs and very different considerations.
Sure.
But the audiobooks was almost all based off the usage. That was
Sure.
this collection I did.
Yeah.
Mainly based on usage. I got rid of a couple of series that had their heyday and just kind of fallen out. But the good news is that since we've kind of condensed that collection, circs have gone up overall for that collection, and we're starting to get people requesting items for
Okay.
it. So for a while there, we had actually stopped getting new audiobooks in, just because in general we were seeing a decline in their usage. But it's picked up enough that we've started adding more books.
Do you think that's because it has been cleaned out and things like lifted up off the floor, easier access?
Counterintuitively, the more you get rid of, the more stuff moves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's been an overall thing. And a lot of that is people can get overwhelmed with choice. If you go look for something and the books are just crammed and packed, natural assumption is like, I'm never gonna find what I'm looking for. And when you start looking at stuff, it's stuff you've seen, stuff you don't care for, so you get discouraged.
And you don't go any
leave.
further.
Yeah. Same thing if you overweed. If you look at, and there's only like 3 things there, it's like, that's not gonna be what I want. And so there is a fine line to thread with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Overdrive stats are pretty consistent with the last time we've met. Our collection has not significantly increased or decreased.
Okay.
We are still adding a couple of things through our Overdrive Advantage, which is our exclusive use audiobooks and ebooks. The good news I've noticed is that we've had over 20,000 users check out over 150,000 items, but that is statewide. That's not just us.
Right.
One thing about having the monthly meetings is the actual circulation statistics do take a while because because of the system that I'm using to tabulate, so I wasn't able to get you pure circulation numbers, but I'm pretty sure I can do that at least on a quarterly basis.
Yeah,
Just probably
that's
not
fair.
on a monthly basis. As far as membership goes, I'm still surprised that library cards remain pretty steady as far as we are losing some members, but we are gaining some more. I expected, especially since we've been a little bit more strict on dropping people who haven't been using their cards, to kind of see a decline, but really we've been holding very, very steady.
Maybe that encourages people to use it. When
Yes. And as far as social media statistics, we get those on a quarterly basis, so I'll report those on a quarterly basis.
That sounds fair.
Cool, yeah.
All right, are there any questions?
I don't have any.
No?
Okay. Just as far as the charts, I sent you that average attendance. The reason it's so bumpy, and you can see that on some of the other charts, is that we have like big events in June, August, and October.
Mm-hmm.
That's the summer reading program, the back to school bash, and the trunk or treat. Like those three events account for almost all of those.
Yep.
And there's a loose leaf sheet in your package, because I noticed when I was running that off that I included a one chart twice. It's like, man, those two charts, you want them to be the same because that's your attendance and the number of programs. And I was like, wait a minute,
That's a little too the
yeah,
same.
I mean, I'm good. Am I that good? And it turns out, no, I'm not that good.
I see.
But one thing I wanted to ask the folks in the board is on the very last page, I included another chart from the Oklahoma Department of Libraries. They have a data visualization tool that allows us to report on a ridiculous amount of data, and you can not only get the overall trends in the state, you can get the statistics for your library, but you can compare yourself to other libraries. And I chose 8 libraries, and those are the libraries that are the closest in population to Guthrie.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 4 ones next highest on the list and the 4 on the bottom. And I did not intend to do this. I actually had to explain to the city manager that this wasn't totally intentional, but since that last chart I included was library cards, I wanted to include how many cards Guthrie has compared to libraries our size. And even though statistically we should be right there in the middle, we're number 1. And as far as you look on the little chart on the side, we actually are over 100% on the amount of population served.
Mm-hmm.
Which the reason is because that population number is the city of Guthrie, and since we have so many out-of-county people, and we actually have more people using the library than live
lives
in
in
the
the
city
town.
limits.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, since I can run this report for circulation statistics, electronic volumes, part of the collection, director salary, library board members, is there any data that you folks here are curious how we stack up to libraries our size, or any library? Okay.
I can't think of anything either.
No, I think that's, yeah.
I can't.
Maybe just, are the number of programs that we offer
yeah.
similar to the number of programs that other,
You'll find out next. Cause I can
There you
include
go.
that, yeah.
Great.
That would be great. I feel like
Yeah.
we offer, from the libraries I've worked at and been
Mhm.
around, we offer so much more
it
than
feels like.
even larger
Yeah.
libraries
Yeah, it
do.
feels like it, so I would be.
Yeah, I
is
have
that
the
a-
numbers to back that
Is
up,
that
so
a
I will,
statistic that they,
that
like
is a
the
const-
number of programs that
they
you?
do number of programs and attendance,
Okay,
and
yeah.
Guthrie does do pretty well on both of those
Mhm.
charts, so
I
I will.
think I'd be interested in
Yeah.
just seeing that, just
Okay.
once, not
Yeah.
like
Well, no,
consistently all the time.
I was figuring just so that I'm not presenting the same
Yeah.
data each
Information,
time,
yes.
I would kind of rotate some stuff
Yeah,
out. So
sure. I
next
think
time,
that-
I will
I think that'd be
absolutely.
interesting to see.
I would
Because
like
like
to
I
see
said,
program.
like, the mayor has always said, we have a library on steroids.
We
We
do.
do.
You know?
I like that.
And we have the numbers to back that up.
Yes.
Exactly,
So-
exactly, so, yeah,
Writing
that'd be
that down.
interesting to see.
Library on steroids.
Alright. Alright, so that concludes my director's report.
Alright.
Okay,
Thank you, Cameron.
Alright. Does anyone have any other questions for Cameron?
I don't.
All right. Well, the next item of business is the ALA grant update.
All right, so I was able to get in touch with the graduate student. They were able to report that they've made more progress than the previous month. As I explained last month, that data set it's an old data set. There's a lot to go through on that. So I don't expect a tremendous amount of progress, but the student is making pretty good progress so far. And I asked if they would be willing to do some kind of presentation or even meet virtually with the board. And yeah, they were very willing to do that. The exact nature of what that looks like is probably going to depend on how quickly they can go through all the data and what they can report on. So it may be something they can explain through a Zoom meeting, or it just may be a presentation that's emailed to us.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, how about, I know I had asked you about
Mhm.
any other grants.
Funny you should ask that. So usually, how I approach, for one, Becca, our adult and teen library in particular, handles most of our grants.
Sure.
She's really great at grant writing. Most of the summer reading program is funded through grants.
Sure.
Especially Walmart, the Kiwanis, and last year it was Ace Hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Donated thousands of dollars, and that's how we were able. She's got some grants lined up. The windows for those haven't opened yet, so she's in the pre-grant writing mode for that. But if things go as planned, we will not have to ask the Friends of the Library, which is the other place we get grant funding from, for money in particular for summer reading program. I did just get notified that a grant I did not pursue last year is open again. This is a grant through Penguin Publishing, but it's limited to libraries that fit the definition of small or rural. And my hesitation was on what they consider our service area. Because legally the service area is the city of Guthrie. But we do serve all of Logan County. And even if we consider all of Logan County, we still meet the threshold as far as the number of people. The problem is that you have to be 5 miles from a area that is considered urban. And part of Edmond does spill over into this. So if they consider Logan County our service area, we would not be eligible for the grant. But if they just consider Guthrie, and that is our legal service area, so I'm exploring that one. And that is a collection grant, so they will basically either give us money for books, or what we would like to do, because this is something I discussed with the assistant director last year, is we would basically request a bunch of books from Penguin Publishing to kind of round out our collection.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I just got that email Monday, I think.
Okay. Great. So just keep us updated on
Absolutely.
whatever grants.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys have a great plan in place. The next item of business is the Guthrie Library Strategic Plan
Oh,
discussion.
right, okay. So I've been talking about this for a while, and I was able to confirm that ODL does have a copy of a strategic plan for Guthrie that runs out in 2026. Sorry, I'm also gonna blend in, agenda item 7 a little bit
Sure.
on this.
Okay, absolutely.
It turns out that ODL, as part of the condition of getting state aid, requires a policy review, and that is also due on the 26th.
Okay.
In 2025, I do not want to do a strategic plan and a policy review. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
yeah, I have all the policies we have to go through for that, and it's 3 pages long.
Sure.
That is just the number of policies. That is not the actual policies themselves. So we could do a policy review and didn't do the strategic plan. I highly think it would be more beneficial for us if we work on a strategic plan and then use that as a jumping off for our policy review.
I think that sounds fair.
Yeah.
I do too.
So, I've got a bunch of stuff for y'all today. This includes the strategic plan, our current one. As you can see, this was actually done almost 10 years ago, so it's
Wow.
a little bit out of date. I've also included some strategic plans that are either local, close to us, or from libraries about our size. Just real quickly, I included Metros, which that one's also super out of date. I do not believe that that is their current one. It is interesting that, kind of wanted to point out, a lot of these strategic plans hit on the same areas. Customer service, collection, and promotion are the ones that you're gonna see most often in there, and that is in this one. This was also like 6 years in the making. So it looks like a quick read, but a lot of work went into that one.
Absolutely.
The Mountain Home Library in Idaho I picked because it's presented, their actual strategic plan is very similar in presentation style to the one that we currently have. It is also almost the same size as us. They are a community of 14,000 people. We are a community of 11,000 people.
Okay.
So,
Would you think about doing it in a PowerPoint type presentation, or would you?
That is something I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say, these look like PowerPoint.
Yes.
Presentations, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily like, the report.
Yes.
What these look like, these look
Yeah.
like a report.
Yes,
a
so
bulletin.
yeah, the next two are Durant and Perry, which Perry is actually smaller than us. There are
Yeah.
4,000 people. And I really like the way both of those are done because they identify services. I actually like the SWOT, that Perry included the SWOT analysis in their strategic plan. But before we meet next time, just kind of look through this, just kind of get an idea of what we're planning on doing. If y'all are good with pursuing a new strategic plan, I've got some very initial baby steps that we can take today,
Okay,
and then we can follow up on a monthly basis as we go forward.
great.
All right, so today, really we just want to discuss what the strategic plan is, why we're doing it, and develop a communication plan. And given the time, I think we'll defer to the next meeting to discuss the community action or the
Okay.
community advisory group, which is going to be responsible for a large part of our data collection.
Okay.
All right, so the reason I want a new strategic plan is the current one is both out of date, with it being over 10 years old. It actually refers to stuff that happened way before I got here, so I couldn't honestly tell you how much of the strategic plan was met or not. Because it does talk about doing stuff differently than it was done before, and I
But
honestly
you
don't
don't know what
how.
that is, yeah,
That was,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're STEM programming. We do have STEM programming. Is it a lot more than before? I could probably ask enough people to report on that, but as of today, I couldn't tell you. Also, it's a condition of our state aid, and I really want state aid because I pay a lot of stuff at state aid.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
if it's good through 2026,
Yes.
why does this say 2021?
Yes, I had that same question, and it looks like, and I was kind of confused until I saw Perry's, and if you notice on Perry's, it was first written in 2017, and they've just continued with the same one over and over again. So you don't necessarily have to change
Sure.
the content of the strategic plan, but they have to have one on file at ODL. So I'm assuming that's what happened in our case.
How often do we need to review, approve, change strategic plans?
So ODL requires that we have one file with them for every 4 years, but as I just said, it can be the same one.
We just reaffirm,
we
but I'm
just
looking here,
reaffirm it,
reaffirming it,
yes.
okay, so
Mhm.
every 4 years,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, I think that since we have a new leadership team at the library, we have a lot of plans for the library going forward, I do think that it would be beneficial to the library staff, to the community, and to us if we formulate a new strategic plan.
Absolutely. I know they'll require a lot of work, but I think it will be well worth it,
I do too.
so. And I would like to say that I'd like, although the strategic plan has done its job, I
Mhm.
feel like it's lacking in certain details that we can really, add to it that will be beneficial for the library.
Yes, yeah. And some of the priorities in the strategic plan are different than
different.
some of the
Absolutely.
priorities I think we should be pursuing. Which I maybe, when we go through this process, we may find out that I'm completely wrong, and these are the things that we should be focused on.
Sure.
And if that's true, we can do that. So next, I would just like to talk about responsibilities. As far as the majority of the planning goes, since I'm the one responsible for the library information plan, I will be doing probably most of the work and then delegating as we need to. A lot of the work is going to be done by the committee we're gonna talk about next, which is that community advisory group. We will be getting people from both this board, from our Friends board, and from general people in the community, basically to identify services and identify needs, kind of to do a little SWOT analysis, so that we know what we should be focused on when we do the plan. So what my initial plan is that I will report to y'all, discuss next steps. And then I will present my findings to the board, we'll discuss them, and then discuss next actions.
Okay.
So yeah. The fortunate thing with a library and a community our size is that a communication plan does not have to be too involved. We don't have to worry about wrangling in 50 library departments, because I'm already 40 of those library departments. Mainly, I just need to know how much information I be looping y'all into. I could email, because I have everyone's phone and email address, I could be sending more frequent updates, which I was going to do monthly updates until we decided to do monthly meetings. But my plan now would be just to make this a standing agenda item where I report basically all progress on the strategic planning.
I think that's a great
Yep.
idea.
I'm all for that.
All right, so my next step is we'll be having a staff meeting soon, so I'll be talking to the staff
Wonderful.
about the community planning or the strategic plan, whether or not we need to divide and conquer some of the work. The biggest piece of work that we are going to do, and we'll probably do this at the next board meeting, is identifying who is going to be in that community action group.
Sure.
Because I have some ideas on who I would like to include in that, but I'm really curious to hear y'all's. But I think it would be better, because I really thought about knocking that out tonight. But I think if we have a little bit to think about it, think about what we want to do, we can better identify people in our community that would help us out.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Outstanding. So I've already done, there are 10 tasks outlined in this book, and I've just completed task number 1, so
Good job.
yes.
I
feel
have
good.
one question for
Yes.
you, and this might be something identifying somebody to be.
Yes.
With our system, are we able to see who utilizes the library most in checkouts? You know, somebody that really,
I can do it by library account type, so I can tell you how many adults use the library compared to how many children use the
Okay.
library. There are 2 basic limitations on getting finer data than that. One is the limitations of the software that we're currently using. They really don't report on that sort of thing, not without me spending like hours going through individual checkouts. Second, we try not to collect more data than we need
privacy.
for
That's
privacy
what-
concerns.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. I was just
Yeah.
thinking, somebody that really utilizes the library,
Mhm.
reads a lot, they would be fantastic.
Now I
for-
can run a report
And you may
on
know,
who the library the most, so I could come up with a
You could probably
list
come up
of
with
like a
5 or
dozen
6 people,
super
so many,
users, yeah,
and then just kinda go from that for
could.
filling, okay.
And your staff will probably know who.
Oh,
who
well, yeah, they know
recognize.
who's here every day,
Absolutely,
yes.
yeah.
I think it would be good also to try to get someone that's in the homeschool community.
Oh, I was actually thinking of 2 people for that, yes.
Okay, yeah, cause
I have
I know
someone in
that they
mind.
use the library
Mhm.
a lot,
Mhm.
and I think that they would have some good thoughts and ideas on things that are lacking, or that they're not seeing that they'd like to see,
Yeah.
or things that might help them in the homeschool community, you know, that
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, cause
Right,
I never
'cause we don't-
homeschooled,
right,
and,
right.
you know, so I think that'd be great.
And I was gonna lean on Sam to see if we could get somebody from the school district.
That's what I was
Uh-huh.
thinking, as a
Yeah.
teacher,
Mhm.
somebody in the school system.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Mhm.
I had a question
Yes.
too. What is typically an advisory board's, role?
Yeah, yeah,
That word was
absolutely.
not coming.
Well,
No, you're good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
In this process,
Okay.
typically, you know, cause I know with governing board and
Mhm.
advisory board, 2 different things.
Yes, the governing boards are usually a lot more hands-on, they set the parameters and, they don't do a lot of the data collecting, but they dedicate
Mhm.
a lot of that. For advisory boards, generally what they do is they participate in the actual plan, like the actual data gathering itself, so, and here's a question, and basically serves as an advisory capacity throughout the process. A lot of that is a check on me, cause I may have an idea in my head of what a great library is gonna look like, and that idea may not be the best fit for Guthrie. Y'all are in Guthrie, you obviously care about the community Guthrie, or you wouldn't be here today. So I am leaning on y'all to kind of make sure that, the focus is aimed in the right areas.
Okay.
perfect.
And just to add, you do live here in Guthrie too,
I do,
so.
I'm like a couple
Do,
blocks. from
yes,
here.
yes.
Also, for this advisory group, just don't need an answer right now. It's something to think about because this book was printed way before we had that kerfuffle a couple years ago that no one likes to talk about, 2008. A lot of the things that this board does was they were meant to have like several meetings over the course of a couple of weeks. And looking through this, I think I can do a lot of that virtually. And like maybe if the need presents itself, we could have like one get together where we're all in the same room together, kind of bounce ideas off
Yeah,
each
I
other.
know.
Mhm.
So the utility of that, I would like to get y'all's opinion on, at least the next time that we meet.
How many people, and I know it can
Mhm.
fluctuate, number of people are you looking at? to
I'm looking
be-
at about a dozen, cause I wanna get a pretty wide
wide
scope,
variety,
and I wanna
okay.
make sure that we're meeting the needs of not only the people that are using the library right now, cause that's awesome that we are,
But
who are we not?
who are we missing? Who?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to find out, the local bookshop.
Yeah.
They do some wonderful things. They might be a good resource on what sells, what
We can
people,
always-
how
yes.
popular their book
Reach
clubs
out.
are.
Oh my
And not to
goodness.
compete, but to help each other in that, and
What was that? I'm sorry.
the local book club, or
Novel
bookshop.
The shop, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a novel idea, like,
Mhm.
just pick their brain on,
Oh, yeah.
to see if they
And
would
they're
like to
great
be.
people over there, they're actually helping us with the danger tree this year,
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Which reminds me, they're holding a book for me, so I need to go. look at that.
Well, and they probably have, I'm guessing, at least a dozen book clubs right now.
Oh, yeah.
But she's
Mhm.
adding, if people show an interest in something, she's adding.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're wonderful.
yeah.
So, yeah, she would be fantastic.
In whatever way that we can all support one another, because, we can offer different resources than they do, but also have the same goal in
Mhm.
mind.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
getting books in people's hands,
absolutely.
Yep, like that.
So I'd like to see if they would like to be a part of that.
Yeah. Alright, so I'll get working on that. And next time we'll knock off, task number 2.
Which is?
start the planning process. And then after that is identify community needs, which I think, they say that can be done in a month. I'm skeptical on that. I'll tell you all that right now. And then select service responses, prepare for change, and then we write the values and mission statement for the library, which is one of the reasons I want to do this first before the policy, because that's a big part of a policy, and then the actual writing.
Okay.
What is the timeline that you expect?
So
Us to
this
have this
this says
done.
4 months. I'm looking more 6 to 8, to be honest.
And hopefully we can help you more with that too, because we are
Yeah.
meeting monthly.
Mhm.
And I think it's a great idea to not expect the amount of data you were
Yeah.
providing before, since we aren't meeting quarterly, we're meeting monthly. So
Mhm.
I think that's a great
Well,
idea
and
to reduce that.
I honestly, I love the statistics and the data that you provide to us,
Mhm.
but, since we are meeting monthly, I would still be okay with quarterly statistics.
Oh yeah, we can do
Mm-hmm.
that.
And then, that way, because you're gonna be spending so much time and effort on this,
That's a
and you
great
really
idea.
need to be, I feel like I'd be fine with quarterly statistics.
Right.
And then, like we used to get, and
Mhm.
instead of monthly, and then
Yeah.
you're not spending a bunch of time each month trying to gather all this for us.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's all really good and great information to have,
And I'd say
for
that
sure.
just when you go through the director's report, you can call out any programs that were highly popular and things like that, and goals in
Yeah.
mind. And I think that the quarterly numbers is a great
Get-
idea.
Sit down.
Right. And
And thank you for providing the examples. I think that'll
Yeah.
help give us a resource on what.
And I can
Absolutely.
email
Wants
these
to
to
do.
you as well, if
Yeah.
you guys would rather have
No,
an
I like it
email.
here so we can
Okay.
Yes.
highlight, ask questions, you know,
Mhm.
write
Okay.
questions. No, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Alright.
All right, well, does anyone else have any questions or comments or anything like that? Okay, so the next item on our agenda is public comments.
Are they good?
This public
Yeah.
is commenting that they're bored and
Oh,
hungry.
okay,
So-
I will hurry along.
And I would just like to say, for the purposes of the recording, I'm very sorry. You'll get a really good view, got a really good view of my grandson, so enjoy.
And I just wanted to add my own little notes too. I think that there are so many wonderful events coming up at the Guthrie Public Library in December. And I think that if you have any time off for the holidays and would like to attend the story time, the Lego Club, I highly recommend it, because we are providing such a wonderful place to be and to, it's a wonderful resource. So, and also, when were we planning to meet next? Because if we are doing December, it would be, let's see, the third Wednesday, is that right?
Yes.
That would be the 18th. Do we want to take December off and reconvene in January, or should we meet to kind of try to get some of the
I'm
strategic
free,
plan?
so
Okay.
whatever the majority wants.
Jamie, do you think you'll be available to come?
I think so.
Okay. Well, then we'll go ahead and schedule for December 18th at 5:30. Will be the next
Stop.
Guthrie Public Library Advisory Board meeting.
Awesome.
All right. Well, with that, I call to adjourn our meeting.